going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know who it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by MSOTD Rocks or Rock and Metal Thrive. Happy Thursday, everybody. It is November 12th, and I've got a great episode coming up for you today because I got to talk to a band out of New Brunswick, Canada, where they start out with one sound. They have quickly transitioned to a sound that they feel like is more their own. We really dive in deep to that sound, but we also dive in deep to what it's like to be an independent band now and why it is difficult to not just basically make money off of it. We talk about the advantages of, the ability to get out and get exposed through the internet, through all this different social media sites, but how difficult it is for a lot of these bands to make money and why it's so important to be supporting these independent bands right now. So please welcome the members of the band EchoSeven to the Chord Progression Podcast. Are you guys ready? Because I know I am. So let's go. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast, I have a band on here that messaged me on Instagram asking about the podcast and what they had to do in order to get on the show. And I told them, you just did it. You just asked. So listen to their stuff. We got this all set up. So coming all the way from, I believe it is from New Brunswick, all the way in, Canada, we have the band EchoSeven. So everyone, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Appreciate it.
How's everything going up there in Canada so far?
Man, so many things up here in Canada. So it's good. It's good. Corona's kicking our ass now. I think it's our turn. We did pretty good for a while there, and now we got a little bit of bit of COVID going around. But other than that, I mean, all of us here are healthy. We're good. Just kind of keeping our heads down and just taking it day by day, I guess.
Yeah, that's good to hear. It sounds like still, even though it's like you guys are saying like it's getting ramped up over there. I mean, you're probably hearing what's going on over here, just south of the Canadian border, Canadian-U.S. border. So, yeah, we're dealing with a lot of that stuff right now, especially where I live in the state of Wisconsin, where it's just like, it seems like every day there's like, it's getting just worse and worse as time goes on. So, yeah, I kind of feel you guys on that one.
It's man, you know what? We got lucky like the first half, and I think we kind of like got lazy. And did our victory dance a little too soon. Yeah. And so now we're paying for it. But I think, you know what? But the good thing is that I think everyone, is taking it seriously. Even though when they put us on lockdown this time, we were on, Thread Orange? Yeah. And anyway, they shut down salons, but didn't shut down the strip club.
Yeah,
wait, really?
Not.
So I don't know what the logic in that was, but they felt that the strip club, had more priority over getting your hair and your nails did. So
that was essential.
Yeah, that was essential. Yeah, so
essential.
Yeah,
apparently strippers are
way of thinking here in politics.
Apparently strippers are essential, and I've had this conversation before with other people where it's like down here in the U.S. is one thing we're seeing is there's a lot of times where there's certain like places where mass gathering is happening, and it's okay, and then there's certain times where it's like the same exact concept would apply where it isn't. So like here right now, as I'm looking at it in Milwaukee, I'm constantly seeing people going out to the bars and just getting together in mass quantities. And it's just, there's really like no restrictions going on. I'm like, but I still can't go and see a live show. But it's kind of the same concept of what's going on. Like, what's the difference? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I think the line, like, I really would like to know where that line is drawn. You know what I mean? Like, and I agree with you. Like, if you can go to a restaurant or go to a bar, kids can go to school and daycares are still open.
It's just public.
Then, yeah, it's all public, right? So we should be able to gather and have live shows. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're starting to open up nightclubs here.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unreal.
That's
if you opened up a nightclub called
smart.
COVID, you do very well.
the COVID-19.
Think about it. Yeah, think how cool that name is. Just call the club COVID-19. You'd kill. You'd make a ton of money right now.
Yeah.
And have
masks
this
mandatory, make them fashionable, and yeah.
You guys are giving me an idea to open up a club right after this. So if you guys end up ever coming to Milwaukee and you see a club called COVID-19, just know that I had my hand in making that and you guys had your hand in creating the idea.
That's it, man. That's all we want is 1 or 2% on the back end. That's all we have. That's it.
I'll say that to this. Fair enough.
Yeah, there you go.
Right on.
All right, before we really jump into it, because I'm not sure how many of my listeners and our fans really know you guys or anything about the band. So I always like to start out with this because I always love to hear what the responses are. So I want everyone to introduce themselves with these 3 things. 1, of course, what your name is. 2, of course, what you do in the band. And 3 is my favorite thing of all, is the like intro to high school, like college welcome week, a little fun fact about yourself. However, I want it to be the wackiest thing you can possibly think of. I've heard of people tell me about their adventures being a YouTuber in Sweden as the biggest YouTuber there before PewDiePie was a thing. I've heard people give me their whole entire, like, the fact that they have a side gig as a substitute teacher and basically became like Jack Black from School of Rock. My favorite so far has been a whole entire band giving me their Tinder bios. So if you guys can top the Tinder bios, I'm all for it. So I'll let you guys just take it away from here.
I think Dylan may have a Tinder bio there.
I think so.
But go ahead. Steph, we'll let Steph go first. Ladies first. We'll let Steph do her intro.
Ladies first, ladies first. All right. So my name is Stephanie Roy. I am the lead singer of EchoSeven, and a random fact, fun fact about me that the band is well aware of is that I am a gigantic fan of Korean pop music.
You're a big K-pop fan?
Yes, absolutely.
I've got like because where my parents live, they've got little kids that live around, like, well, not little kids, but like kids like their like preteen years, I should say, but they seem little to me. And they've like there's a set of twins. They're about, I think they're 10 or 11 years old now, and they love K-pop with a burning passion. But their older brother, who is 14, I swear, we were watching football one night, or over at my parents' house, and he came over, and there was a commercial that had the song Dynamite by BTS on. Yes. He literally ran out of the room. He's like, I hate that song so much. And this commercial played like 5 or 6 times during the game. Oh my God. I was laughing hysterically. I'm like, okay, I don't like K-pop, but I'm not like that.
Respect. Yeah. I'm not that big of a BTS fan, ironically. Oh, so I liked one of their songs in 2018, I think, Fake Love, the one that blew up, and then I kind of forgot about them.
You like some more of that unknown K-pop stuff?
A little bit unknown, a little bit popular. Like there's a big girl group, Blackpink, that played at Coachella, I think, last year. And they were quite the big show at Coachella, which is a thing, but you know.
But that's still a rather wacky fact that I was not going to expect, especially after listening to the music. But then again, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the wacky facts. So let's keep on rolling because I got to hear some more of these. So we'll go with one of the guys, whoever wants to go. Oh, wait. Well, I'm not sure which way they are when the video comes out.
Me neither.
I don't know how I'm going to end up. We'll see what happens. But you guys go ahead.
My name's Dylan Osmond. I'm the guitarist for EchoSeven. I usually play rhythm guitarist. I'm from Brampton, Ontario, Canada, which is very close to Toronto. For a wacky place, I don't know. Like, not gonna lie, I was on Tinder. I met my woman on Tinder. I don't know. It's just kind of like she didn't really want to talk to me at all. I guess she's putting me out. You know, like, she's playing hard to get. Next thing you know, we just make a date in Halifax or whatever. I was like, I'm probably going to disappoint you. You're not the first one. So, and then it kind of goes from there. And then, you know, happily ever after that day, you know, it made a good impression, and, you know, here we are today. So
I'll say you must have gone like all like, you know, taking the inspiration from Mr. Doug Glattengoon. You got our little Halifax Highlander doll because, you know, it's official.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, we sparked the night there, and, you know, we traveled home the next day. So
that's not bad. I've had a couple other friends who like have met their significant others on Tinder as well. So you're definitely not the first one that has gone and done that. I got a friend if one of the funniest guys I ever met. And like, it's always hilarious when people come up and ask him and his girlfriend, so how did you guys meet? And his girlfriend tries telling the story like real elegantly, and he'll just blatantly go out there, Tinder, and just leave it at that.
So blunt.
It's completely blunt, but it's honest as all hell, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Go for it, man.
My name is Justin Laracy. I guess I'm the lead guitar player for EchoSeven. I'm from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. Anything wacky? I don't really have too much wacky things that go on in my life, but I do like to paint and stuff like that. Kind of wacky designs, I guess.
So, like, what exactly are you painting though? Like, just like random designs that you come up with, or
like characters or anything like that? Like, I drew like the Aladdin characters, but I made them like different looking with like neon, like light, so you can use like black light to make it glow and stuff like that.
Ooh, alrighty. I'm gonna have to take a look at some of these if you got them. Like, just after this, if you have any pictures, I'm just sending them to me because I kind of want to see some of these.
Sure.
Right on.
All right. Woo.
All
We
right,
got
I
one
didn't
more.
know you were a painter. I didn't know that. Okay, so my name is Alon Mccall. I wear many hats. Musically, I'm the drummer, but I'm also producer, engineer of the band EchoSeven. Wacky fact: I can top the Tinder. I met my wife at a gay bar.
Wait. Okay, I got to hear this story now.
So there was a singing competition going on in town at the local gay bar, and I was one of the industry panel people judging the singers. And anyway, she walked in, and I kid you not, man, it was like there was a disturbance in the force. And and one thing led to another, and it's been 3 going on 4 years, and 4 cats and a greyhound, and you know what? She likes rock music and loud guitars and drums, and
That works.
I can't complain. So it's all good here, but that's my wacky story of the evening.
That one's probably gonna stick with me because I could just see that happening where all of a sudden, like, you're sitting in the bar, you're working on judging the singing competition, all of a sudden she walks in, you just like turn your head, just like, I feel the
But
disturbance.
that's literally what happened, though. I was by the bar. I remember I had
Tractor
a
beam.
can of ginger ale, and I remember some other chick was talking to me, and it was like wah 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 wah. And then my wife now walked in, and dude, it just changed. It literally just, and I've never in my life experienced that. So I was like, I have to get to know who that person is. And sure enough, man, it's been working out. So no complaints.
I might actually be able to top your story.
Go for it, Steph. Go for it.
Yes,
I
here
want
we
to hear
go.
your story.
My boyfriend and I have been together for 8 years. 1 dog, 1 snake. So we have a corn snake. She's fine. She's very cute. She's not for everybody, but she's very cute. But anyways, we met. I was in college in hairstyling school, and my teacher had dated him, and they had broken up. And when she met me, she was like, "You're the perfect person for for this man." So she actually had us communicate with each other, which took me a while because I'm shy, but we ended up getting to know each other, and 8 years later we're still together. And I didn't even finish my college course, so I always joke that my boyfriend was very, very expensive.
Wow. Okay,
Yes.
you win, Steph. You win.
Oh,
Having
that
the ex set you up is that's a win. That tops mine for sure.
The college teacher, the
Teacher on top of that. Yeah.
You're gonna have to thank your college teacher for that, for just steering the conversation that way.
Yes.
Because I mean, it's like, for someone that she had been with beforehand, it's really rare to see that. It's like, oh, I was with this person beforehand, but there might have been some like bad blood there. You never know. But it's like, oh, I was with this person beforehand. You're perfect for them. It's like, go, 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 go.
And everyone, like all the girls in the college were all freaked out. Like they were all wanting to doll me up and dress me up and stuff. Like, "You're going on a date. We're so excited for you." And I was dying inside. But it went well. 8 years later, it's still going well.
I'll say whatever happened seemed like it definitely worked. And you have a corn snake?
Yes.
How big is it?
About 4.5 feet long, I'd say.
Oh wow.
And she's about this thick.
Oh,
But her
okay.
head is like the size of my thumb.
What do corn snakes eat? Because I've never really looked that deep into snakes outside the fact that they bite Steve Irwin, and then he's like, "Crikey, look at that! It's the most venomous snake in the world. I'm gonna go poke it with a stick."
I'm gonna wiggle it around. But they eat. We feed her frozen rats or mice, so they're already like pre-dead and pre-frozen, pre-dead, so we just defrost it and feed it to her, and she's fine for like 10 to 14 days, and then we do it again. Very low maintenance.
Is the frozen mouse whole?
Yes.
And like freeze dried, and then
Not
you chop them up on a chopping board?
No,
We
feed her the whole like thing.
The whole
it's
little
just
mouse.
Yeah, it's just frozen. I don't think it's freeze dried. I think they just like flash freeze them.
Oh.
And then you just de-thaw them and like you have to get comfortable handling a mouse. So
Okay.
I
So
kinda,
that's another weird fact about me. I'm very comfortable with dead rodents.
See, oddly enough, I remember when I was like a kid, my best friend, they end up, I forgot why I think he got a snake or something or what he had, but they end up having like a bunch of mice, like live mice. And it was
Oh,
like
God.
every day I'd go over, like every week I'd go over there because like he lived right across the street from me. It was like, okay, I'd go over there one week. It's like, okay, there's 2 mice. There's a mommy and a daddy mice. All of a sudden, like a week later, it's like, okay, why are there 5 more? And they just kept multiplying and multiplying. I'm like, dude, you got to get a snake or something just to like deal with these mice, man. He looked at me, he's like, dude, I'm gonna need like 5 snakes to deal with these mice.
Snake, a cat.
And all he
Had the
has
whole
is
arsenal.
all he ended up getting was a one-eyed multi-poo.
A
And
pirate dog.
I nicknamed him Pirate Doggo, and it was hilarious because last year at this time, like him and I were roommates, and like his dog would spend time at his parents' house, time at our place, and every time he came over, I was like, oh, what? His name was Blackjack because he's like a little Blackford multi-poo. I'm like, what's up, Blackjack? Dog is old as all hell, and he's spunky, just energetic, missing an eye. For Halloween, my buddy dressed him up with like a pirate hat, put an eye patch over the missing eye. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Oh yeah,
That's my dog is like, we rescued him when he was about 5, so it's been about 6 years, so he's very old. And he's missing a lot of teeth. He has cataracts and he can't hear, but he has boundless energy and his nose works very, very well. So he's like a young dog in spirit, but he's very crusty and old.
I'll say, even with all the crazy like pets that you have, I mean, I don't think you can top Alan with the 4 cats and the greyhound as well. I think he's got the full like fur family going on.
Yes, I love
only
the greyhound.
by default because the lady loves animals, and so I had a cat. She had the greyhound and 1 cat. That cat passed away tragically, and so she was crying so bad.
No.
That I was like, okay, honey, stop crying. I'll get you 3 more cats to replace that cat. And that's how we ended up with 4 cats because I promised her 3 cats to make up for the 1 cat. So it's kind of my fault that we have 4 cats and the dog.
You've set up a dangerous.
I promise, though.
You said, I know, but you've set up a dangerous precedent, my friend, because another cat dies, you're going to have to get 3 more to replace it. You're going to end up becoming...
she's aware of this. Oh, she's well aware of this.
Oh, dear God. All of a sudden, 1 cat's going to go, she's going to start crying, and she's going to keep crying because she knows the only way she's going to stop crying is for when you get 3 more cats to replace that 1. So all of a sudden, you're going to go from 1 cat to 4 cats, and then from 4 cats, or 2 to 4, you're going to end up going from like 4 to... what is that? You're gonna end up going to get like 12, and then by the time like you end up getting to be old, like a real old man, you're gonna end up just being like the crazy cat lady from The Simpsons, just with cats all over the place.
I am well aware. You are not wrong. You're not the first one to tell me this. But I had to do something, and the only way to pacify her was to give her furry kittens, and it worked. So, but these cats hopefully will live long. They're all indoor cats. We treat them well. We feed them modestly.
That's why we got a snake. They last a long time.
So I've heard, but you know what? With snakes, though, you got to get the enclosure and then the light and
the startup. The startup is expensive. The maintenance isn't very expensive, but the startup can be.
Yeah, like I mean, they're not furry, right?
Yeah.
So, yes. So
they're not cats.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah. But you know what? They don't claw at your furniture.
True.
They don't climb up on shit. They don't, demand kibbles.
True.
They don't do any of that nonsense, right? They chase mice if they're energetic enough. Like
And
my cats are lazy. Yeah, my cats don't feel the motivation to chase mice. They see a mouse, they look at the mouse.
Oh.
They'll talk with the mouse, try to negotiate with the mouse. They're not hunting the mouse, right? And that really makes me upset because I feel like they should be doing more. But yeah, they're.
I give you food, I clean your poop. You should at least.
Yeah, exactly. At the very least, you could do is hunt, right? Yeah, that's all I ask.
So they sound like a bunch of like old mafia guys sitting on a corner where it's like the mouse that they're gonna give it as much shit as possible, but they're not gonna do anything about it because that requires them getting up and actually doing something.
You know what? If you catch them in the cat tree, is exactly what it looks like too. They're all on the tree, kind of staring down at you. There's one right here, looking down on us. Yeah, so that's basically what it is. Yes.
Oh, wow, they're already setting up for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, constant intimidation.
Oh,
I
that's-
want to mention our bass player. His name is Mike Brooks. So he is also part of the band, but he could not make it tonight. He had a last-minute engagements, so we are missing one guy. But I just want to mention him because he is a crucial part of this band. I don't know any quirky things about him because he is new. Haven't known him long enough. But yeah, good guy. Shortest one in the band. There you go.
There we
We
go.
found
That's a
that out the
fact.
photo shoot last week.
Yes.
We all he realized he was the shortest guy in the band.
He's like, oh no.
Yeah, I think he as well.
He's from British Columbia. Yeah.
So that's two things about Mike.
You should guys should have taken a photo with like him on one end being the short one looking back at you guys, and then all four of you in row in unison, taller than him, looking down on him.
Yes.
That's a good idea, man. We should try.
We
that
need
out.
to milk this.
It's like, why are you guys doing this? You're the new guy. This is what happens.
Hazing.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
Like light hazing, we'll put it that way. But alrighty, one thing I do want to get into is the band as a whole, because when you guys sent me your music, I'm not sure which one you guys actually sent me the music up front, or sent me your stuff. So I went to go take a listen to it, and I'm not gonna lie, it was something where I listened, I'm like, wait, how does this all work together? Like, I'm like, it's like heavy alt metal and it's like rap at the same time. Also, I'm like, what the heck's really going on here? Because again, on like I always say this though, on paper, there's things where you look at and it's like, okay, this doesn't seem like it would make sense. But the difference with music is what looks bad on paper could easily look incredible in practice and sound good in practice when you actually put it out there. So that's always why I'm always open-minded with stuff. I'm like, this seems like weird, but you know what? You got to give it a shot because hell, there's a lot of every genre started out as what the hell is this? Like, this doesn't seem right. But then all of a sudden, you know, like rock, metal, alt metal, metalcore, just coming up with some just people didn't like think they were gonna work at first, but all of a sudden, boom, they blew up and they're huge. So it makes a lot of sense. So I want to get going with like the initial beginnings of the band, because when I took a look at some of the history behind it, trying to really figure it out, it seemed like it started in 2016 with Justin and Alan. So I kind of want to know what's the history behind starting the band and how you guys came to form that like heavy alt metal plus rap sound at the same time.
Okay, wow, it's a sordid tale. Yeah, so Justin and I met through a mutual friend who is a lead singer. At least he tries to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he tries to be, and he's shorter than Mike. Like he's a short dude. But anyway, so we got together, three of us, and we started to jam out some songs or whatever. But in true flaky lead singer fashion, he did 2 rehearsals and never showed up again. So that left Justin and I to try to pick up the pieces. And so we jammed a couple more times, and then it laid dormant for a couple of years. Like we'd run into each other like at Walmart or whatever, and be like, hey, you know, when you start a band, let me know, give me a call, kind of thing. And I've always wanted to start, you know, another band for myself. And so anyway, Daryl, who was a member of the band, so he's the rapper. I've known Daryl since 2015. And so anyway, I approached him and said, listen, I'm thinking of starting a band. I want you to be a part of it. You know, do you want to do this? And he's like, well, I don't know anything about rock or metal, but sure. So anyway, Daryl and I have done these mental health concerts.
I'm wearing the shirt
with Stephanie. So Stephanie, in her previous life, well, actually her alter ego, I should say, is that she is a folk singer. And so we've done shows together, but Daryl was, you know, more of a friend to her than I was. I was just the drummer in the background, but her and Daryl actually talked and forged a friendship. So Daryl's like, well, I know the singer, she sings folk. I don't know if she'd be interested, but I'll ask her. So Steph's like, yeah, I'll do it. Not a problem. I'll try it out. So then it was Justin, myself, Daryl, and Steph. Steph knew our former guitar player, Andre. She was like, well, I know this guy. He may be interested. So Andre's like, sure, I'll try it out. And then Andre knew a bass player, Jamie. So that was the original configuration of the band. We, you know, jammed a few times. We had some songs that Justin and I have been working on. So we kind of, you know, hit the ground running. We had that stuff already done. Wrote the lyrics up, gave it to Steph. She put the melodies together, and we came up with Everything, which was the first single. That came out, the process with that was we were in the process of recording it, and then COVID hit. And so basically we had to really get creative in recording that single. So Steph recorded in her house. I recorded my drums here. I went to Jamie's place and did bass. Justin snuck over between the COVID cops to come and record here. It was a mess. It was a true mess. We barely got Andre here, but Andre's like a nurse, so he was really, really on edge about it. So I had to literally like coax him and say, Andre, please come and record the lead guitar for this. And so I convinced him. He came over. And so that single was pieced together that way. We no longer have Andre and Jamie and Daryl as well. So the rap element is no longer part of the band. I don't know whether that's going to be something that we reintegrate later on, but as of right now, I think I can speak for everyone where we're doing what we do without the rapper, without the rap element. And I think our latest single shows that it works. That it works really well, and that we can still do what we need to do and do without the rap element. But to introduce the two new guys, so anyway, Andre, Jamie, and Daryl leave, and so anyway, Dylan and I work together, and Dylan's like, "Hey, I'm a guitar player," and I was like, "You know what, dude? Guess what? I have an opening. Do you want to come through and audition?" And he came through, and the boys got chops, so here he is. And Mike, he just answered an ad that we had up online for a bass player. Put up an ad on Facebook and Kijiji, and he answered the ad, and he was very matter of fact. He was like, "I'm a bass player. I'm new in town. I have good gear and transportation." Sold. You know what I mean? Like,
say no
in
more.
the world of music, that's those hits all the points, and he won, and he came through, and he's got chops as well, and so. We got together, we rehearsed, and we put out the I Am the Tree, which is our latest single, and we got that together, and we're moving forward. It's been really good. This configuration, I think we all are on the same page. We all have the same kind of fire and motivation to do this and to see how far we can take it. So it's really exciting to see what we come up with for the album. So that, in a nutshell, is the history of EchoSeven.
That is quite the history to have over just the course of a couple of years, in all honesty, just with the different lamp changes, just kind of the sound change as well from what you guys did with recording everything, which you guys recorded during the whole entire COVID thing, and then now with I Am the Tree coming out, which came out on I think it was September 30th, if I'm
October 14th.
October 14th. Okay, so look at me looking at Spotify trying to find the date and just completely making myself look silly.
Never trust Spotify, especially to get paid. Oh, sorry, did I say that? Yeah, so
yeah, I think I saw an article. It was like Spotify gives its $100th to artists.
You know what? It's satire, but it's true. It's true. This company pays 0.03 cents per stream. We have close to 15,000 streams, and I think the total, I screenshot it and put it in the group chat. It's like we've made $14.
Yeah.
Off of 15,000 streams. Like, that's insane, man. That's totally insane. Like, if this were the 90s and we were getting like $1 for every single we sold,
yeah,
we'd have 15 grand.
Yeah.
That's a good chunk of money. We'd be very happy right now.
Yeah, and instead you get $14 from freaking Spotify. And you guys aren't the first people that have talked to me about Spotify when it comes to the whole entire fact that you get these mass amount of streams that, if you look back a couple, say 20, 30 years ago, if you sold these as singles, the money is completely drained. And it's always the question of, how is this money going to these massive companies, and how is there so little going to the artists themselves? And you take a look at some of the bigger artists as well. I mean, take a look at a band like Bring Me the Horizon. They've got like 10 million monthly listeners on Spotify. But if 15,000 streams only gets you $14, then it's like, okay, take 10 million. I mean, that's like nothing.
No, I think the running statistic right now is that in order for you to make, I think, $8,000, you have to have 1 million streams, is what I believe the breakdown is. So, because I heard an interview, someone was talking about Drake. And about how many streams he has, and the breakdown of money, and the difference between if he were selling records and came out in the early to mid 2000s as opposed to now. So like pre-Spotify and post-Spotify, and how much more money he would have And like you just said, how much more money artists would have. I think the thing for me is that I feel the music industry has done a very good job of fooling and tricking the independent musician to think that now is a better time for them than it was before. Like, and I speak from this, like I'm a producer, I have a production company, I've got a studio, like I've been doing this for a minute. So like I'm speaking from experience. Like if you look at it, yeah, it's easier for independent musicians to put music out. Like what we're doing right now to get interviews, to reach the mat. Like that's all great. Like the technology has allowed us to do that. However, the industry has found very, very good and every single way to just strip the income making ability of independent musicians down to nothing. Like, how is it that Spotify numbers matter more than organic fans? Like, how is it that you have something that can be manipulated by an algorithm and you can pay companies to fudge the numbers? And that's what you're going by to sign an artist to a record label. But you won't mess with an actual band that's doing big numbers locally and packing bars every night. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I actually talked with a guy's guitarist name is Stevie from the band Wicked Smile out of Australia, and we talked all about this as well, because one thing that he was talking about was taking a look at, sometimes you look on like YouTube, you look on Spotify, it's like they've got these mass amount of streams, these mass amount of views on one platform, but then you go over to the next platform. So I'm gonna use YouTube as an example. Say like you're putting a lot of money into YouTube and you get like 2 to 3 million views on your YouTube video. Yeah, that's awesome. Don't get me wrong. But then all of a sudden you take a look at like the Spotify stream for it, and it's like just over 1,000 streams for that song. Now you can kind of see where the manipulation of that algorithm is coming in. And when record companies look at it, it's like, yeah, those bands that are going to be, you know, maybe they only have 10,000 views on a YouTube video, but you look at the Spotify streams and they match that as well. It's like, okay, there's a lot more parity here. There's not any manipulation of the system going on within that. And then when it comes to live shows as well, it's like, because I've talked about this, like they might sign this band to a massive deal, but all of a sudden you put them out live and it's just, they don't connect with the audience. So it's like, well, why were you guys big on YouTube? Well, maybe it's because you played the game a certain way so that you could, you know, get to this certain point.
And
but
that's it.
But in the end, what's going to end up happening is those. It's like what I hope what happens is that the quality of the music is what's going to really matter to the fan, to the end consumer. So as time goes on, it's like those bands that, you know, that get signed to those massive deals, but really just don't necessarily have that sound, but they kind of manipulate the system in a way and just play the game. Now, don't get me wrong. If they're playing the game that way, that's the way it's set up. I totally understand them making that move. However, as time goes on, it's just the quality is going to be exposed.
Yeah, I think that the unfortunate thing too, on the other side of it, is that independent musicians are forced to shell out money for promotion to get these numbers to where they need to be, right? So you got 1,000,001 companies offering Spotify playlist paid placement. You have 1,000,001 companies offering, you know, so-called organic Instagram follows and Twitter follows and YouTube subscribers, but you got to pay a fee. But when we just talked about the Spotify numbers, when it translates into money, where is this money coming from? It's, you know what I mean? Especially now during COVID. It's like, so you take live shows away from independent artists, but I still got to pay for all of my membership, my distribution, my graphic design. Like I still got to pay for everything in order just to look professional so people can take us seriously. You know what I mean? So it's still costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars to put together the package properly. But we're not recouping money like from selling merch at shows or just doing, like, we're not doing that, right? And so it's like, when you look at it, it just seems like things are very lopsided, where the independent musician now is forced to fund everything, which I shouldn't say the label should give them everything, but at least back in the day when labels invested, they had a piece of it that they were responsible for. Now they want you as an independent artist to be your own business, have everything together, have all your paperwork straight, and then maybe they'll throw a couple $1,000s at you and put their social promotion machine behind you and make it work. Like I remember I had an artist I was working with. He was a rapper a couple of years ago, and we put in an album, and he got some notice from Sony Red when they were still a label. And the deal was, if he sold 5,000 copies, they would give him $50,000 and sign him to a 360 deal, because they knew they would make 500,000 worldwide off of their promotion. But he still had to sell the 5,000 units, right? So it's like, yeah, it's a catch-22, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so us as a band, we've got to sell a certain amount of units to make the label see that we've got a fan base, and then they'll invest.
And look professional.
Right, exactly. And then they'll invest once the machine's going. and jump on the moving train. And then if it doesn't go well, whatever. But if it goes well, then the 360 deal means they get a piece of everything. You see, like I just feel like now is for independent musicians, it's a very awkward time where you have access to everything and you can control every aspect of your career, but it all costs you an arm and a leg because every outlet has found a way to monetize everything. Like SoundCloud, remember SoundCloud was free for everything you could do on SoundCloud?
Yeah.
Now they monetize that. There's SoundCloud Pro and you pay for mastering and you do this and you do. The only real platform that's doing anything is Bandcamp, but unfortunately, the average person doesn't even know what Bandcamp is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the one platform where an artist is going to make real money.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't tell a person go on Bandcamp and look at my stuff. For one, people like, what's Bandcamp? Number two, Bandcamp and iPhone are feuding, so you can't direct download files from Bandcamp onto your iPhone.
Well,
and number three,
that complicates things.
It's not as seamless as ordering from iTunes or adding to a Spotify playlist. So the one outlet where you can make money, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it's the companies that are funneling a lot of it, that have a lot of the stake in the game right now, are gonna make sure they keep that stake in the game because it's for their interests. It makes sense for them to keep that stake. So something like Bandcamp, I didn't even know Bandcamp existed until I started doing these podcasts with all these bands, because it's just like, they're like, yeah, we're on Bandcamp. So I'm like, what the hell is Bandcamp? And after a while, it's like there's many artists where all of a sudden, like, I've found their, like, I've talked to them, and then I'm gonna like feature some of their stuff on our platforms, and I'm trying to find, because I need the downloads for them, and I'm like, well, where can I find the downloads? And I find them on Bandcamp. I'm like, if I can find them on Bandcamp, that's where I'm gonna go and get them, because that's actually gonna give them the money instead of having to give like download it from iTunes, and all of a sudden, like, I don't know how much an artist would make off of iTunes if I end up paying for the album. Like,
I think it's 0.014 is what Apple pays per stream, and then per single, off a 99-cent single, I think you make 15 cents, because they take a fee for hosting and they take a fee for promoting. And then if you're like the Apple Music subscription, so the subscription works like if you do one of those compilation albums. So everyone gets a piece of the subscription. So if Apple has 1 million subscribers to Apple Music, they divvy that subscription money over all the artists on their platform.
Ouch.
So you think so again, so think about that. So if they've got 10 million subscribers, but 10 billion songs on their platform, and they're divvying up that money after they take their hosting fees and promote money for marketing and promotion, and maintenance, it's not
much.
You see where I'm going, right? Like,
you're basically getting pennies at this point. If
not
you're
even pennies, man. I wish we were getting a penny.
I'd put it in my piggy bank. I'd be really happy.
Yeah, it's a fraction of a penny. Yes.
But one thing that this is also adding to is, like, when it comes to independent bands as well, even during this whole entire COVID time period, where I'm seeing independent bands trying to do whatever they can to play live shows, because again, that's where they're going to make most of their money from. It's like, well, why are you guys playing live shows when COVID's going around? Again, I kind of mentioned earlier, where it's like, I'm seeing people going out to the bars right now, and it's like, well, you guys are going out to the bars, you're packing bars. Hell, there are clubs opening up. We talked about the COVID-19 club. You guys are going to get a kickback on that if I ever start that. But
that's right.
But in this grand scheme of things, it's like, well, why can't we do that? It says, why are bands doing that? Well, because that's what these independent bands, that's what they need to do to make money in order to, get to the certain point where they can potentially get that record deal, but then also rework that record deal so that it works for them instead of working for the record company, which, especially with after COVID right now, I think that's going to end up turning the corner, due to the fact that, a lot of these bands are going to be coming through, and a lot of the bands that have these contracts, they're going to see how much, when you're not playing live shows, how much it actually impacts you. And all it's going to take is for one of the big boys to just end up having to do something like this. So if Metallica's deal is not working out for them at all right now, and they have to re-sign a new deal, that whole entire structure is going to change. And that's going to reverberate down from the top all the way down to the independent bands that are now being signed.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. I really do. Like, we're dying to get out there and start playing. Because, I mean, you need to connect with the fans. That's how you build your base, test out new material, and just to get, tighter as a unit. Like, test out material, see what works, see what doesn't. But I hope you're right, man. I hope that this time forces the industry and forces musicians to rise up and say, listen, these deals are not working. You know, and it needs to change. It really does, because right now, any band that was out there grinding, their progress has been put to a halt.
Yeah.
You know, doing, you know, online shows is not the same as playing in front of a crowd of people. You know, it just isn't. You don't get that connection. You don't get that feel. It's just not the same, man. Like I don't know. I hope this doesn't stay the way. I see, you know, posters all the time online over in Europe anyway. They're doing shows.
Mhm.
They're planning for next year already. Australia, Europe, UK, they're planning. Even the States, they're planning major rock shows for 2021.
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like people are planning and ready. And I mean, I think once the floodgates open, I think any band, including us, that's ready to like take advantage of it is going to kill. I think there's going to be such a rise in new bands and new acts that are going to be the big names, because people are going to be fiending. And I mean, that's the only silver lining I see, is that people are going to be fiending for live entertainment. And once they say, yeah, you can go ahead and gather in 100 or more, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's going to be a major benefit for independent bands if you're ready.
I can see exactly where you're coming from. The one thing I have with that, where it's kind of like I'm not entirely like full on board with that whole entire thinking, is it's not that I don't agree with you. It's that when time comes where all of a sudden people can gather together and all these bands can be able to go out and play live. I've seen independent venues and festivals shut down left and right now. I mean, there's a festival up here in Wisconsin in Oshkosh called Rock USA. They've been doing it for 20 years. The company that like basically puts it all on, they're filing for bankruptcy by the end of the year just so they can pay back and refund the purchases from this past year. There's a different one in called Rockfest, which is in western Wisconsin. They've announced their lineup for 2021, and I've got a whole entire plan to go out there, rent like a Winnebago, so I can literally do like podcast interviews on the fly while I'm there, because I looked at the lineup. There's like 7 or 8 bands I've already had in the podcast that are going to be there, and I've told them about the idea. I'm just literally going to have like coolers full of beer, hard liquor, Gatorade, soda, water, whatever you guys want. I don't care. Just come and have a good time. That's pretty much it. I'm covering everyone's bases, whether you're straight, you want to drink, whatever. I don't care. But when it comes down, like, again, there's a lot of venues that are closing down, so it's like the supply of venues and the supply of, you know, stages is going down, but then the demand is going to end up going up for bands that are trying to get out and play live, because everyone's been down, from the independent artists to the smaller assigned artists to the big boys. So it's just like everyone's going to be vying for those positions. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more concerts that are going on, but my kind of like concern is that a lot of those big time artists are going to end up using that influence and that pull to basically overtake dates that independent artists can have.
I don't think you're wrong with that. I think you're absolutely right with that. And that is a real concern. You're because they have the money. They can outlast this. And you're absolutely right. I think between that and, you know, labels and different, you know, corporate entities that sponsor music, you know, trying to put on their own festivals and stuff like that more and more, because they have the money to rent the space and do all that. Yeah, you're right. It could totally go in an opposite direction, where bands who are established end up taking what's left, and independent artists are going to have to fight for fewer and fewer spots. I think you're right. I agree with you 100% on that.
The one thing I've seen so far in like this whole entire time with independent artists is if you're able to kind of, again, you're able to put yourself out online and you're able to kind of create this fan base and kind of galvanize them at some point as well. I've seen a lot of things happen with this, and I've got a couple of bigger like independent bands that are really working on this. Band called Kingdom Collapse that I'm friends with all the guys over there, and they came out with a single back in May, and their like fan group page, they end up galvanizing to a point where everyone was requesting to hear the single on like SiriusXM Octane on Test Drive, to where 2 weeks in July it was the most played song on Octane. This has been the same kind of thing with the song Insidious by Any Given Sin, and then the band Saul, which at the time we're recording this, their debut album came out today, and there's a lot of people that already know about it due to the fact that it was it was heavily requested from their fans to be on all these different radio stations. So when it dropped, it became a big deal. So it's just something where it's, if you, like, again, I get the fact that it's like, you know, there's a lot of time with artists right now, with independent artists, where you have a lot of potential for exposure, but then again, it's like making money off that because of the way the record deal is structured. We're in a new era, but the companies that were in the old era are trying their hardest to make sure that they keep hold of that, and that's where the conflicting happens, to the point where, again, with independent artists, you can get out there, But it's like these established brands and these established record companies, they want you to have such this like picture perfect portfolio before they even consider signing you on. And then they're going to take as much as possible so that they can continue to make the money.
Absolutely. Like it's bad. It's really unfortunate that, those bands you mentioned, like I've heard of Saul for a bit now, like they can't capitalize off of that momentum. So yeah, you're being played on Sirius XM and you're getting that traction, but now you can't go out there and capitalize on it. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're getting the radio spins and you're the most requested, but now you can't even play in those markets to capitalize on that exposure. So like, how do you maintain that? Like, that's kind of the tricky balancing act now. Like, how do you capitalize on traction like that without being to go see the fans face to face and play and, and really interact and make that connection where you keep them.
Yeah, the fans are like eager for that adrenaline off the band to produce on stage. They want that connection.
Yeah, when it comes to like those live stream concerts as well, because I know a bunch of bands have been putting out there, like the bigger bands as well. And I don't watch any of them because I know it's just not the same feeling. I love going to live shows. It's like, it was always like my escape from everything else. Didn't matter what the hell was going on in life. Life could have been the shittiest thing possible. Hell, there was a time when life was the shittiest thing possible. And the one thing that literally kind of was like what gave me like a relief from I didn't have to worry about things for an hour and a half, was going to see go to a regional airport because they had 2 stages set up there, and sitting at one side of the stage because, the other stage was going, and I wanted to see the band that was going to be the headliner, so I was waiting in front for the headliner while Stone Sour was playing. I was enjoying that. Then all of a sudden the headliner comes on, it's Rise Against. I'm like, yeah, and having a blast with it. But it's just that connection. I completely miss that. When it comes to the live stream shows, like I've dabbled in a little bit of them, but I haven't watched one full. I've only watched one fully, and it was the Save Our Stages one that Rise Against did. And it's like, it was so cool being able to see them play live again and listening to Savior by them. Oh my God. Like I felt like from the intro, I felt like that adrenaline again, but it wasn't the same when I'm not able to just go and launch myself into a mosh pit and potentially get beat the hell up or throw someone on the ground. And by the end of it, everyone's giving each other high fives and hugs because it's like, this was awesome. And it was just that connection that's there, not only between the fans and the other fans, but then every single fan in the band as well. Just that positive connection that happens has been missing for so long. And I know it's been missing only since March at this point, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't seem like that long, but without it, it seems like forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many concerts that go on during the course of a year. Like, I think everyone's realizing that now, how many different shows were going on simultaneously, just in North America, just all the time there were shows going on. I know, like I said earlier, we're looking forward to it. I haven't played on a stage in quite some time. And
I miss it
I know
so much.
I know Steph was like, I haven't played on stage in like almost a year. And I was like, yeah, Steph, I'm sorry. So yeah, like when it's one of those things that when you do it, it's addictive. The adrenaline, the hype of going on stage, the nervousness before you hit that first chord, the lights.
Nothing compares to that rush. Yeah.
Yeah, the super hot lights and the bad sound guy, and you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like all those things that go with it is just something about that experience. So even on the musician end, like, I know we miss it. And I know that we're, really looking forward to getting out there and seeing how this music translates to the public, and so I think we're ready. We should be ready. I think we're ready. Yeah. We're ready.
Have you thought about doing? I was gonna say, have you guys thought about doing something kind of like in the terms of like, as they would put in like some more like terms like guerrilla marketing style, where I've seen, this is an example of what I've seen. So I'm gonna see if you guys have an idea of like doing something like this, where there's a band, it's a New York punk band called Rebel Manic. They came out with an album on August 28th. And again, new album. I loved the album. It had this great punk sound to it, but the problem was you're not able to play it live. You're not able to get it exposed to the fans, and you're not able to expose to the people because you're not able to play live shows. So I've seen them do this a couple of times where in New York, they've literally set themselves up on a sidewalk and just played the whole album. And it's like people weren't really, they kind of had it set up so it's like people weren't really going to be walking along that part of the sidewalk, and people were going to be distanced from them. But people going and walking across, it's like you're getting to see a live show. You're getting to see a live punk show. I'm like, heck, if I couldn't even mosh, I'd still want to go and see that just because, hey, it's live music and there's that connection that's there. And can you really get stopped if you're doing it on a sidewalk? I mean, So I'm like,
as a New Yorker, I can tell you they can stop you. But and here in Canada, I mean, right now it's getting pretty chilly. I mean, I guess we could do that, guys.
I've busked in the wintertime before.
Okay. So you know how to do this.
Someone got me a coffee. It was really nice.
Yeah, so I guess I mean, we haven't thought about that, but that's definitely an idea, just to kind of throw up an impromptu concert, find a couple bands, and just kind of go for it, and hope the city doesn't shut us down. But you know what? No press is bad press.
Exactly.
And,
if they do shut us down, we'll be in the papers.
Yeah, that's it at the very least.
Exactly. You'll be in the papers. You'll be online on their websites. I mean, they might, like, your local news station, news source, whatever it might be. They might, put it on Twitter, put it on Instagram, and people are going to be interested in it because it's like, okay, wait, there was live music again, and they're going to end up looking at that, and they're going to see that it was a band called EchoSeven that did it. And what they're going to wonder is, okay, if this band's doing like these random pop-up shows, like guerrilla style, just out in the city, first we kind of want to check them out because it's live music, but two, let's also check out their sound and let's listen to it. And then all of a sudden people are going to start listening to the sound. They're going to get into it. And then you're going to start creating all these different fans also locally from within yourselves, because everyone's going to want to go out and see that live music because it's been lacking for so long.
Yeah, I you know what? That's a great idea. I think this has been a brainstorming session for sure. We got the nightclub, and now we have a new marketing idea. So, well, we'll send you the check from the residuals that we make off these live shows.
Yes.
But if it goes to our bail, then
we might need it.
Work that out. Yeah.
I'll put it this way: if there was a chance you guys could send me like a check for the residuals, I would absolutely love it. But if it's somewhere all of a sudden you guys like, yeah, they shut you down, they took you away, they locked you up, and you had to get out for bail, please, for the love of God, use it for that.
We never knew you. That's right. Yeah, we this conversation never happened. We'll never
delete
we'll
the
name
interview.
names. You'll be okay. We'll.
Oh, they'll probably coming for me. All of a sudden, I'll get a knock on my door, and like from the Canadian police, it's just like, you guys know you're in America, right?
You do not have jurisdiction.
Exactly. I think I might be covered in this.
Maybe.
Maybe. If the government's watching this, well, yeah,
they probably are.
They probably are.
Hello.
It kind of reminds me of like, so I was watching South Park today, and all of a sudden they had the episode where Cartman tried to like infiltrate the NSA, and Butters is praying, "Hello government, it's me, Butters." It's like, "Hello government, it's me, Kevin. I hope you guys aren't really listening too much into this, and when these guys go and like do this like guerrilla tactic live show just on a sidewalk, you just let them be and just perform and just have a good time doing it, because everyone just needs to have a smile at some point." Now, I mean, everything's just like, it's just, especially with it getting colder out right now too, it's just, everyone's going to start going inside, and like, because there's that seasonal
affective disorder. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That people get really down because it gets cold. It gets dark early. It gets dark really early. There's nighttime all the time. And even like in the daytime, like it's cloudy, it's overcast. You really don't see the sun. And it really does affect people. So people need that form of just enjoyment, and that form of positivity, that form of just, negative release in there as well. And live music is perfect for all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And I'm really missing live music. I think about this all the time. It's like, oh man.
Me too. I have twice postponed tickets for a show that's still up in the air. So, and before, like Alon mentioned, in February and March, I was getting quite regular gigs opening for a group of 3 gentlemen who did mental health awareness concerts. So a lot of it was the interaction with the fans after the show. Like, you'd get to talking with people about what you talked about. Like, you'd open up about your depression and stuff, and they'd open up to you. And it was really like beautiful little moments of connection that we don't really have anymore. And it's sad.
It is sad as well, because it also gives that form of like community, that form of family within there as well. And I mean, speaking from more of the American standpoint as well, especially what's going on here, it's like everyone's divided over everything. It's like, and there's no connectiveness whatsoever.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So when it comes down, it's like those live shows, and just even like from after it as well, because I've seen this plenty of times where during it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what you believe in. All that matters is the fact that we have like, from the fan perspective, if I'm looking at you, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter anything about you. All that matters is that we both have a positive connection with the band that's on stage for some reason, and we're going to enjoy this 1.5 to 2 hour show, and have a blast, no preconceived notion whatsoever. And it's an incredible thing because there's that connectiveness that happens. Plus with the bands, well, after shows, I've seen plenty of times where bands stick around and talk to the fans. I was at a couple, during COVID this time because some, again, independent bands trying to find a way to make some money and also keep performing. And I'm not that packed of a show, but I got to end up talking with the bands afterwards. I've interviewed some of them, and getting to know them in person as well was something that I always wanted to do. So just, being able to go out and support them at the same time too, it's just something that I absolutely love doing. But I've seen bands like, I'll use In This Moment as an example, because I saw them back in May of 2019. And because they were headlining, Seven Dust opened up for them. After the show, it was like I was walking out and I kept seeing a bunch of people like hanging out right in front still, right by the barricade. I'm like, before in front of the stage, I'm like, what the heck's going on there? And I looked over and there's Maria Brink sitting on stage talking with the fans for like 20 extra minutes, just hanging out with them. Like, neat. But it's just, those people are never going to forget that moment.
Yeah, and those are the things that people, I mean, like Stephanie's saying, like you're saying, like people, those are life-changing moments. You know what I mean? When you get to talk with your favorite musician or you see your band or, get that autograph or get that shirt signed or, you know what I mean? Or like get that handshake or whatever. Like it can change your life. You know what I mean? Like you were saying earlier, just if you're having a bad day or a bad stretch or whatever, you go to a concert, something like that happens, or you just like vibe with the people around you. You know what I mean? And at the show, and there's that one common experience that everyone has. And I think, even just on the topic of just how like stressed everyone, is right now, I think the lack of music is a big part of that. The lack of having that medium and that venue to release, your kind of your extra energy and your stress. And, like the wife and I, we actually sat down the other night and just like listened to a bunch of, emo and screamo music and metal, and we sat in the living room and put the stereo on and just swap songs back and forth. But you know what, like someone's got to scream for you, like when you that's the beautiful thing about rock and metal and stuff, the guitars and the drums and all that energy, that does it for you, and you get to just kind of express it that way. And I think that's a big part of what's missing right now, and I think that's probably half the reason why everyone's so on edge, because there's no way to release that now, right? There's nothing to express those emotions for you, before you could go to a show. And and like Steph said, just meeting people that have similar experiences, right? Like that may be the one person that just you can actually talk to or express something to, or find that common ground to, that you never thought you would, and being able to reach out to people and connect with them that way. And it's we look forward to it. Like I said, it's something that we know is part of being in a band and part of the process. But I mean, when it starts again, I really hope that we can take advantage of it and get out there and give our best and give our all and shake all the hands and sign all the autographs and sell all the records and not have to work day jobs anymore. Woo! And and all that good stuff that comes along with it. So that's the plan anyway.
I kind of feel like I'm in the same boat too, because it's like I'm trying to do the same thing here, where it comes to a point where I want to do this for forever, just do this full time and not have to have a full-time job where I'm working like 6:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, and then having to come home and just keep working on this as much as possible, because I'd rather do all this stuff than sit at a full-time job. And there's nothing on the full-time job I have right now, because I like the people I work with, but it's just, I know that's not something I want to do forever. I want to do these podcasts. I want to do all the YouTube videos I do. I want to do all the connecting with the bands and really helping them get there. Like a lot of the independent bands, helping them get out there as well, because God, this year, I found so much great music that I would have likely never found out about had I not been doing this. And it's like, why don't more people know about this stuff? Like, well, I want to do something about it. And then bing, bang, boom. Here we go.
Listen, man, we need another Matt Pinfield type guy to come out of somewhere and let people know about those underground, unheard of, diamonds in the rough, I guess. And I don't think, if you could be that guy, that'd be great, because we need it. Like the 90s had Matt, and it was, I found Deftones through him, Kitty, 7-Year Bitch, like so many bands I found through, Matt Pinfield, on MTV, scouring the countryside and finding those bands and finding those artists, being that guy at every show. You know, like that's really needed in the industry too. I think people are too reliant on Instagram and Facebook to tell you what the next big thing is. And there are no real aficionados out there who are, you know, on the ground, seeing concerts, seeing bands, saying, hey, you know, that first band that opened up in that line of 7 bands, that's the band you got to look for. You know what I mean? Like there's no one out there doing that. And I think that that's really needed. So, I mean, listen, we'll promote you. We'll help any way we can, because it's needed, man. We need someone out there to champion us independent artists. So
it really is. And when it comes to Matt as well, just what he did in the 90s. But one thing I'll say about that too is when he did it, it was like the eyes were on MTV at that point. The attention was on MTV. So when people were watching MTV just constantly on it, yeah, they were looking at his stuff, and the message was getting out there. So when it comes to like what I'm trying to do, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to do kind of something similar where it's I want to expose everyone to these great independent upcoming artists, these emerging artists in the scene that all of a sudden, you know, come the end of the decade, you're going to be wondering why it's like, well, why these guys are big? How'd this happen? It's like, well, let's go back. If you guys would have, you know, talked to me and followed my stuff, you could have found out about them way before, and you could have been on the train to the point where when they are headlining those major festivals and those major shows, you're going to be the person that's going to be like, I've known them from the start and how good they have been. You guys should have been on them beforehand. Kind of just giving that a little bit of a bragging rights thing, because I know people like that. But of course, I'm looking at where's the attention right now. The attention's on anywhere online, especially on social media. So where am I? All over social media.
Yeah, no, it makes
Same
sense.
here.
It makes sense. But like I said, I would love to see more of a microscope put on, you know, the indie scene, and because bands work hard. They invest a lot of time, a lot of effort. You know, there's so many, you know, great artists out there that are, you know, we're all trying to just, you know, be self-sustaining, I guess, is the term, right? So, yeah, it's just, I'm looking forward to getting out there, meeting other bands, and getting in that network, and you know what I mean, and opening up for different bands, and just becoming part of that ecosystem, you know, where we can get out there and be a part of that that whole thing.
Just grow all together, have a fan base, connect, you know.
Oh,
easily. Doing a residency in Vegas, you know, the whole
Do the Celine Dion.
You know, the whole dream, right? The whole dream.
Yeah, you guys can overtake Celine Dion with her
Yes.
residency.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. We just
please.
want the penthouse and 3 shows a day. That's all we're asking.
Well, enough with like a lot of this stuff, because a lot of this stuff we're talking about is like getting you guys out there, getting you exposed as well in terms of your music as well. So how about we actually go in deep with some of this music, because then we can get people to be like, oh, well, what do we expect when we hear EchoSeven? Well, let me tell you guys. So how about we talk about that, shall we?
Yeah, sounds good, man. Let's go for it.
Absolutely.
So one of the songs I really did a deep dive into that I would love to talk about is the most recent one that was released at the time of recording this, which is I Am the Tree, and that's how we got in the whole Spotify thing, because I was like, yeah, I'll take a look at the date. Come on. And yeah, never trust Spotify. Never.
Yes, never, ever.
So when it comes to I Am the Tree, one thing I was trying to figure out is like, what's the true meaning, the true root in the message behind the song? And usually I'm like always on top of this, but this one, I was completely lost. So I need to hear from you guys. What is like the full on meaning behind this song? Because a lot of times the meaning and the message can really give a lot of context to how the instrumentation is put together, the heaviness of it, the lightness of it, the certain progressions that it has, the vocal pattern, the vocal tones. A lot of it can really be tied into that. So I'm always curious to hear what the message behind it was.
Well, Steph is the one who wrote this one. I didn't write this one because I'll be honest, I wasn't feeling the riff when I first heard it. I was like, I don't like this. And so I was like, Steph, can you please do something with this? Because I got nothing. So Steph will take over and tell you exactly what she intended and what this means.
Yeah. Basically, the big inspiration, not surprisingly, came from a very like kind of obscure K-pop rap that had the line, I'm not a flower, I'm the tree, which I really, really liked. Like, I'm not a dying flower, I'm the strong tree. So that's kind of where I got the title from. And the song is pretty much just about like going through life, but being as strong as you can, because you've pretty much got this. Like, there are lines like, crowned like a lion, I will let your blood run dry. It's taking ownership of your own power and taking ownership of your own strength and going through life, essentially. But the tree reference is a direct reference to K-pop. So
Well, now that brings the whole entire K-pop thing a little bit more full circle.
Full circle.
But I do like that as well. Like that line is like, "I'm not the flower, I'm the tree," because everyone's gonna look at the flower because it's
pretty.
It's pretty. It has this certain social value to it. When you look at a tree, you look at it aesthetically. It's like people are looking at the tree. It's like it's a tree. That's pretty much it. If we need it for wood, we'll chop it down. And then in fall, it's like, oh, the leaves fall and it becomes a burden on us, kind of thing. So we have to rake all these leaves, and then we can't park our cars on the street because the leaf piles are flying all over the place.
The friggin' tree.
I mean, that's a little bit more of a personal thing that we're dealing with right now, mostly because of the fact that my car, I constantly have to park it in one certain spot because of all the leaves, and the birds find that to be their favorite spot to
Oh dear.
repaint my car, unfortunately. But also when you take a look at it too, it's like with the flower, yes, but it's a fragile thing especially when you pick it, because once you pick it, you're killing it and it's not going to last. But with a tree, you can't really pick a tree. I mean, you can't really pick it up, and the thing is powerful. It's huge, and if it does end up getting cut down, it can destroy your house because
Oh yeah, easily.
look at me coming in with these crazy references, mostly because I'm thinking about
Might have to write our next song.
I could come up with ideas, but I'm not sure I come up with the full on poetic words and how everything and like the metaphors that really come together, because if I tried that, I mean, who knows how it would go. Either it could go really well, or the metaphors would be so obscure that it would just be like everyone would look and be like, "What are you talking about, dude?"
That's kind of the thing with the lyrical direction of the band as well. We want to be a little metaphoric, but not too much that it's too vague. So it's kind of like trying to find the balance to be like direct with what we mean, but to be a little bit poetic with it at the same time.
I like that a lot, because when you really look at music as well, it's when you're trying to put out like your personal feelings and whatever you're thinking of at that time, whether it's something that you went through, whether it's something that you believe in, something that you think. If you're going to put it out there direct, I understand that. But when you be poetic about it as well, and you be a little bit more abstract with it, with the meaning, what's going to happen is you're going to give a certain guide to people within the song. However, you're not going to be so direct with it, where with that abstract feeling to it, people are going to be able to connect with that feeling and that emotion through their different experiences.
That's very true. I agree with that. Like if you're way too specific with songs, like the first song that automatically comes to my mind is a Nickelback song.
Really?
When he just starts.
That's good, because I can't stand Chad Kroeger, and I think he's a shitty songwriter.
Yes.
And anyway, keep going.
But the song that comes to mind is Photograph. He starts, look at this photograph. It's like, that has nothing to do with me. I don't connect with this photograph at all. Like, I don't connect with that song. Like, if I can't see the photograph, there's nothing to go on. Like, you don't want to be too specific.
Listen, I agree with her 120%. I think Nickelback is a trap. I don't know if these other guys, I don't know how Justin and Dylan feel, but I am not. And you know what? He had the nerve to win. He won a SoCan Songwriter of the Year award recently.
He did.
He did.
Recently.
And he had the nerve to get on the radio. They interviewed him, and he was like, "Yeah, this has been a long time coming. They should give me this before, because I'm a damn good songwriter." I'm like, really? Says who? Really? Who are you comparing yourself to?
You've been writing the same song for 10 years.
That's all he's done. That's it.
I just remember when Vine was a thing, and all of a sudden they made fun of that. It's just like, look at this graph, and just
I
like a
love
bar graph
that.
for a pie chart. You just see his face, just
Look
like
at this graph.
oh god,
I love that.
But I totally understand where you're coming from too, as well, because again, when you get so like straight and narrow with it and so specific with it, you're gonna end up losing people who don't perfectly identify with the message or perfectly relate with that message. When you're way too abstract, though, it can have the same issue where people just can't relate to it because no one knows what the heck you're actually talking about. When you find that perfect
Tori Amos effect.
Yeah. When you find that perfect balance for that specific message in the specific song, whether it's to be more direct with a little abstract or very abstract with a little bit directness to it, or right in the middle or anywhere in between, doesn't matter. You can really create something to where people are going to be able to connect with and kind of have a guided experience through that emotion that the song is portraying, and that gives emotion, that gives a tangible explanation to something that they went through that is very hard to explain in terms of what they felt.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, and Steph as well. Like there is that balance, and there's it just kind of flows. Like I mean, either you kind of have it or you don't. It's but Tori Amos on that note, like I laugh hard when she's because we both know Tori Amos and we were both fans of Tori. I think
Big
Tori
fan.
Amos is she knows how to write a song. It's the way that she pronounces her words. Her phonetic structure makes normal words sound like strange words that take you forever to decipher. That's my problem with Tori. Is that I don't know what she's
Yes.
saying half the time. I got to read the lyrics in order to figure out what she's saying, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really profound. But when I'm listening to it,
I have no idea.
I listen to my teen years. I had no idea what she was saying, none whatsoever. Right? It just sounded good. I was like, oh yeah, that's great. It's fantastic. So yeah, no, that's funny because we both had a conversation about Tori Amos a couple months ago.
Well, I've actually talked with other bands as well that are from other countries as well outside that don't have like English as a primary language or like as their main language, where the dialect and the certain accents that they have are gonna have words pronounced differently. And there's times where it's like I totally understand where you are gonna try and make sure those words sound like perfectly how they're supposed to sound in order to get the message across. However, there are times as well with certain bands where using that different like just dialect and that certain like accent that they might have just with what their native language might be, sometimes just using that little bit of difference can really change a whole entire song.
Mm-hmm.
It could go wrong, but a lot of times it can go right just because it gives a completely different impact to that word. It all depends upon exactly how you want to sing it and how you construct the song as well.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like In Flames. Like I'm a big In Flames fan, and you can tell like their English is not their primary language, so the translation of what he's saying, it's kind of cool because it becomes very literal, but it works so well with their music. So you're absolutely right. Like sometimes it works to your benefit, and sometimes those direct translations kind of cut through everything and get to the point. And I think for rock and metal, I think that works really well.
Another band I'll point to that as well is a band from Italy. They're an Italian metalcore band. They're called Eline, and their lead singer, it's the most insane thing ever. When he has these unclean screams, he sounds like Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying, but when he has the clean vocals, he sounds like an Italian Miles Kennedy. It's the craziest thing possible, but it's just like sometimes just that little bit of an Italian accent to that sound. It creates this just like total diversion that is absolutely incredible, and it's powerful at the same time as well. So I've seen it work out incredibly well.
Yeah, no, and I think that's kind of the beauty of songwriting, right? It's just that if it's a well-written song, it'll come across no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of it, right? So I mean, Steph did a great job with this song. She killed the lyrics, and we just kind of built it from there. Dylan came along and Justin wrote the riff originally, and then Dylan came in and added some flair to it. That's his thing. It really came in together. Mike laid a really good bass line down. The chorus hits hard, and I think that it works out pretty well. There are no dead spots in the song, which was really important for us. We wanted to keep that momentum going of at least for me anyway, when I was mixing it, I wanted to give the sense of a tree growing and then kind of crushing through and breaking through. So that's why like the way that the hi-hats are going, and then when the chorus kind of comes in, it's a full-on bang. Because when you see a tree sprout, and when you see some trees in like the rainforest stuff, they're massive. They're miles wide, and they're huge. And so if you like do a time lapse and see that tree grow and sprout up and like knock over smaller trees and things like that to make room for itself, that's kind of what I wanted the chorus to be, to kind of break out that way. So hopefully that came across. I feel it did. Hopefully everyone else feels that it did. But yeah, no, it came together really well. It was a collaborative effort, and it really is representative of the sound that we're looking to establish for ourselves and take moving forward.
Yeah, because when I went in really deep with this, what I always do is I always take a look at first how the instrumentals play off of everything and how they create that feel, and then how the vocals are added on top of that, how they comment, and then I kind of go through an overall kind of style. And when I started out listening to the song, again, like from the intro, you had this like classic guitar riff. It reminded me of something like Iron Maiden would have, and it's accompanied by more rapid drumming that is heavy and fast paced. A lot of fast paced hits on the hi-hat. And again, when I was listening to this, I wasn't sure exactly. I'm like, is this kind of the new sound you guys are going with, or what's going on kind of thing? So now that I know that this was, more of the sound that you guys are going to be going for and going towards in the future, I've kind of taken a look at this in a little bit of a different context as well. But because I was like, I'm not really sure how this is going to go, but we'll have to see how this goes. Again, that's all on the preconceived notion of what the other two songs that were out on Spotify, there we go again, but how they sounded. And then going to the verses, it was kind of like a similar style there. However, there were some lower tones of the guitars that were really becoming more prominent. And when I thought what this was, especially with the instrumentation, already this is kind of cool. But what I think this is all going to depend upon is how does this all fit in with that chorus? Because again, the chorus is going to be the thing that a lot of people remember. It's going to be that point in time where when people listen to the song, they're going to, when they're singing it back to themselves in their heads, this is going to be the part where they kind of go off of. So how is the instrumentation kind of funneled through that? And what I thought was overall, like the pace was dropped a little bit because the heavy hits weren't necessarily there as much as they were, like, especially with the rapid hi-hat hits. But it seemed like you said to put more of like an alt metal style on it and a chorus that I would find from one of my dad's favorite bands, one of my favorite bands growing up. Of course, I feel weird because this is a Canadian band, but it's Rush, and I really like Rush. Yes. But in the end, I kind of looked at it, I thought, I really like how this works out because in the end, it is a really good contrast and balance to what the rest of the song was trying to go for. Plus, there are some rapid fills in there on the drums, which match up really well with the rest of the instrumentation. So in terms of like that compare and contrast style, really going through the whole entire song, this was really well done.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. That means that I can't. We did something right. We did something. Yeah, we got this one right. That's good.
Yeah, and then should I talk about the vocals on this one, or should we leave that one off? Because
man, go for it. I'd like to hear what you have to say about Steph's vocals.
Alrighty, if you guys keep seeing my head tilt to the right, because I write all this stuff down and I don't want to forget about it, so I'm kind of just reading off a little bit of. It seems like I'm reading off the script, but this is all the shit I wrote. It's all notes and stuff. So when I was listening to the vocals, especially in the verses, I was kind of thrown off a little bit. Again, because I wasn't necessarily what to expect in terms of what I was expecting from the first couple of songs that you guys had released. Because the vocals, I thought they were rather slow and melodic and a little bit more of like a depressed and somewhat elongated style. And this reminded me a lot of the flow of like the clean parts of a song like Pisces by Ginger, which, I mean, we know
which
that song
Dylan is a big fan of.
Yeah, where it's like it sounds super
Diana.
angelic, and then all of it, like I love watching the reaction videos on that song because it's super angelic, and people are like, "Oh, this is really nice," and they always stop it right before the unclean vocals come in. I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun," and just seeing the look at just everyone's like, "Oh,
that voice,"
and then stop. It's like that's coming from her.
Yeah.
And this isn't something I was expecting, but I can see what you were trying to do there with the contrast against that faster pace, the instrumental, and it does work to stand out. But in my opinion, it just felt like it was there, but it just felt like there was a little bit of like a power behind the vocals that was really missing to capitalize on that. And this isn't something that I'm trying to be like, oh, I don't like it or anything. It's just me giving my honest opinion, and it's like, I'm just telling you what I thought of it. So there could be people that think of it differently. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion and also give you the context behind why I think that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So my feelings are not hurt.
Yeah, I always have to make sure to say that because I know when it comes to music, when it comes to musicians, you guys are creating art and you're using this in your outlet. It's very personal. So when it comes to me listening to it, it's like, again, remember, I'm going to give you what I like about it. If there's something I don't like about it, I'm going to give you that. But always I'm going to give the context behind it because maybe it's somewhere it's like, it's just something that didn't match up well with what I was thinking or what I was feeling the song would go with. But then again, that's all my thoughts and all my brainchild kind of thing.
I like criticism is great as long as it's constructive, and constructive is great. So
yeah, that's the whole point. And then when we get to the chorus, it was like that same style was kept, but the vocal pattern is slightly faster to better match the pacing of what the chorus is. And I like this more because there is a little bit of like a darker connotation to your vocals in this, and it really fits in well with that more like Rush-inspired chorus that I thought. So when it came to this part with the chorus, I thought this was a very powerful thing, and it was really well done.
Yay, thank you.
Atta girl.
So then I'm taking a look at my little like overall kind of things. I always do like a little overall summary at the end of it. And I said overall, again, it wasn't something I was expecting, but now I know what to expect because again, this is kind of more the style you're going with. And I liked the fact that it happened because it just shows the range that you guys have as a band overall with the many different kind of styles that you can work with within more of like a metal rock kind of style. And again, where the verses I thought didn't really stand out as well because of the lack of power with the melodic verse vocals to go with the rap instrumentation. There's that Rush-inspired chorus that really has the vocals just popping with that dark connotation. In my opinion, this is an absolute perfect step in the right direction for expanding the sound, and now it's time to build on it.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thanks,
Yeah, I think the next single.
Always the next single.
Yeah. No, it's gonna no. We're definitely this is the direction it's going.
Yeah.
And so no, listen, that's great. I think it's all good feedback, and
It is.
And I mean, listen, for a group that's had to endure what we've endured, and Steph's been here since the beginning, so there were times that we didn't think we'd ever find a bass player or another guitar player.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Finding bass players is very hard.
It is very, very hard. Oh man. So the fact that we've managed to put a unit together and come up with a product like this, yeah, no, very, very happy.
Yeah,
It's a learning experience, and we're learning with every new song. I find we're learning more about ourselves as musicians, about what we want to put out there. And I find that with every recording, it's more and more us that's showing through instead of what we want to portray. It's
I like that. Yeah. I like that statement because I know that when we first, like with everything and Gunnin, I think we had I know I had preconceived ideas of what the style was supposed to be. And I think, like Steph just said, we're finally getting to a point where we're finding our own style. We're meshing everyone's influences into it. And it's becoming something of its own, which I really, really like. So, yeah, it's we're getting there. We're getting there. A lot more work. We're getting there.
And that's something I absolutely love to hear because I'm always a big proponent of letting the music dictate itself, because if you have this kind of preconceived idea of like, okay, this is where we're going to have to go with it, but if the song that you're writing and the idea you're trying to put out there, it is going to be pushing you in a completely different direction and you're going to be pushing against it, you're not going to get that song to come out as well as you want to. But if you let your sound, you let your, just how you want the song to sound, just let it dictate itself and let you just kind of not stand in your own way with a preconceived notion. Just let yourselves write it the way you want to write it, how it feels natural. You're going to end up getting something like you did with this song with I Am a Tree, because you're going to get something that, you're going to see a little bit more of like a sound that's really a good step in what you guys want to do. And it's all dependent upon expanding that. And as time goes on, as you guys continue to work together, what's going to end up happening is you're going to become comfortable with each other to the point where when someone wants to try something maybe a little bit wackier, be like, hey, this song might, go well with something like this, even though it doesn't necessarily seem like it would fit. You guys have the trust to be like, okay, let's see if this works or not, because if it doesn't work, oh, big whoop, then we try something else. But if it does work, it could be an absolute smash hit. You never know, but it's just that ability to be trusting enough within your own band to write these songs that you want to write, and then also be willing to just try new things. You're going to end up coming up with that core sound that you will end up having in all your music, and people are going to end up remembering it as not like, oh, this band sounds like this. It's going to be like, no, that is EchoSeven.
And that's exactly what we want.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, well said. Well said.
I've been a big proponent of that ever since I really started this whole entire project and really got in deep with music. And I'm like, I'm sticking with it because I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had conversations, like this. I know Stephanie and I have had plenty of conversations where we've talked about, and even with the band as a whole, like, okay, guys, when we started out, we were like, okay, I asked the band, are we going to use drum samples? Are we going to use, guitar sims? Are we going to, sample, all these sounds and make it sound clean and overproduced? Like, what sound are we trying to go for? And, everyone agreed that we wanted to sound like us, so, the nuances of, miking an amp, the nuances of, EQing live drums, the nuances of not using auto-tune. Those are the things that make classic records. And that's the sound that we wanted to go for. And if we couldn't get the sound that way, then we just weren't going to do it. So I think, with all three songs, we've managed to prove the point to ourselves that we can create stuff that sounds good. But I think Tree is the culmination of just having like-minded people, having the same objective, respecting everyone's talent and ability, and just putting it all together. And that's the sound that we have, and that's all us. That's all real amps, real guitars, real drums, a real vocalist. That's what it is. That's us, you know? And I think that's what we want to go for, because we know we can reproduce that. Yeah. We know we can go on any stage, anytime, anywhere, and play that song exactly like it is on that record. And that was a big deal for us. Because I've seen shows where dudes have the MacBook on the side with the Pro Tools running and having, you know, overlaid guitar tracks and overlaid vocals and all that nonsense, right? We don't want to do that. Nothing against it. It is what it is, but we're a band and we play real live music, and this is who we are.
Oh, totally understandable. If that's who you are, then totally go forward to it. And when it comes to the live shows as well, where you're talking about having the MacBook Pro open, having Pro Tools going, so you can have like all the overlaying tracks, the backing tracks as well. I get it. There are bands that do that, and I mean they do it really well too. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of bands that do that. For me, I'm always remembering the shows where there's bands that, you know, like my favorite shows of all time are bands that don't do that, or bands that just like go out there. You got a guitar. You got a guitar, a bass, a drum kit, and maybe the lead singer has a rhythm guitar or something like that. And these guys are just out there and just like going absolutely bonkers on stage, but playing with a lot of energy, and it's just completely and just raw emotion from them. And it's the other part about it too is you know exactly what song is like. It sounds almost like it does on the record, but it doesn't sound exactly like it because it's a live show. There's going to be some differences in there. So it has a little bit more of this like rougher, more primal sound, especially when I go see punk rock shows. I love it so much more live because you get that rawness in there. And it's just like, ooh. I'm missing punk rock shows again. Oh, man.
It's a sad time.
Someday soon, man. Someday soon. It'll happen.
We hope.
I'll say once we're done recording this, I'm going to end up having to like bounce against my walls a couple of times just to remember what it's like to be in a mosh pit. And if I fall over, if I accidentally give myself a concussion, it might actually feel good. I don't know anymore.
Going to the hospital in this time is complicated, so you might want to avoid a concussion.
I actually have already gone to the hospital once during this time, but it wasn't for a concussion. It was because my if I didn't get my appendix taken out, it was gonna burst.
Okay, yeah.
In there, but with my gallbladder.
Oh,
yes.
There's a connection right there. Oh my God, look at this.
It's kismet.
Yeah, and even the crazy thing about it, what I remember when that was like, alrighty, it's like, okay, let's go to the hospital. I don't want to go during COVID time, but if this doesn't go on, it's gonna burst. It's gonna be even worse. So let's just go get taken care of. Yeah, I came out I went in like 8 p.m. on a Thursday night. I was up by noon on a Friday, and then all of a sudden it was like the next day. I'm like, I'm kind of like it's all like really like sore. Sit down in the chair. Alrighty, let's do one of these podcasts. I'm just sitting there, just like, oh, this is nuts. But totally worth it, trust me.
Worth it.
It's like going to a concert when I'm like not feeling the best, or just like I'm not saying sick, but like just not really feeling up to it. It's like I know if I go, it's gonna be the best thing ever. So just go. And every time I've said that, it has been that true. It's like if I'm not feeling like going to a show, go to it, because I'm gonna be like after everyone's gonna be like, oh man, I'm so glad I went to this.
Yeah.
That's like me going to rehearsals. No, but for real, like sometimes I'll be like, oh man, like I don't feel like going anywhere today, but I know if I go to rehearsals, I will go out in a good mood and I'll have energy and I'll have good energy, and it's always worth going if I can. So
I agree with that. Sometimes I don't feel like drumming. I'll agree.
It happens.
Yes, it does happen. That's true. Sometimes it's like, you know, I don't feel like doing this today, but you're right. It's
it always ends up with good energy and with a good outcome, and yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you. That's good to hear, Steph. Makes me happy.
Look at us. We're talking about how everyone likes rehearsals on the podcast. A podcast first, everybody.
Yes.
All right. One last thing I really want to talk about with you guys is the fact that now that we're coming towards the end of 2020, I've been asking this question a lot throughout the year, but I'm not going to ask it to you guys because, well, again, it's just the timing of everything. So instead of asking what you guys are working on for the rest of 2020, I got to ask, what's the plan going into 2021 in terms of you guys got new music you're working on when it comes to potentially trying to, expand the reach of the band in terms of fans and in terms of overall listenership, and also making some of that sweet, sweet money on the side.
Okay, so 20 new music. We are in the process of starting to record 2 new songs. We're going to re-record our first single because we collectively agree that we probably should, minus the rap verse. So we've written a second verse. We're going to re-record the first song and put that out. We've started writing for the album. So the album hopefully will have 10 to 12 brand new songs on it. That is going to hopefully be out this time next year. As far as what we have planned promoting wise, it's just all social media right now, especially with the winter coming. Winters here in Atlantic Canada are not fun. They are brutal and cold and icy and a pain in the ass. So we'll rehearse as much as we can, but no one's doing shows around here in the winter. Yeah. So next year, what we're hoping is that we can build up enough buzz with what we have now to get the attention of a booking agent or management and start planning shows for next year. We've applied for East Coast Music Awards this year for Loud Recording of the Year and breakout stage to showcase at the awards. That happens in May of 2021. So we're looking forward to that. And just other opportunities like that. We're just looking to, get into some festivals, do some opening act stuff, but really just trying to find, the team to handle that. And so we're hoping that, we'll build our online presence. We already have the website up. We got our social media up. We've got 3 songs in the bag, hopefully 4 before the beginning of the new year. Yes. So hopefully we can go ahead, like I said, and get a booking agent or a manager and just start planning our attack on the live stage. So that's what people can expect. Just us keep writing music, keep putting out music. There is an album coming. Maybe some techno EDM remixes of stuff that's out already. Maybe. I've been talking to a couple DJs trying to get some stuff going. So I want some like industrial EDM remixes that I'd like to see happen. So they'll be put out in lieu of the album. So there'll be material out there. We're not going to stop putting out music, that's for sure. But there is an album coming next year.
Love to hear that because I want to see this band end up just getting to the point where I'm just going to be perusing around here and all of a sudden like, okay, I'm trying to go to a live show because, well, I miss live shows and I really want to go to one. And all of a sudden just start seeing all these different live shows pop up and I'm just going to be looking and be like, wait a minute. No, wait. Is that the EchoSeven that I know? And all of a sudden look and just be like, yep, that is the EchoSeven that I know. And also you guys are going to be getting ready for the show. And there's going to be some just silly guy just like standing in the crowd going like this. And you'll know right then it'll be me just like, hey guys. And if you see a shoe flying through the air for at some point during your show, there's a good chance that it was me because I lost it somewhere and someone's trying to return it to me or someone decided to throw it across the room. I'm like, well, I lost a shoe. It has happened before. I've gotten it back. So.
Oh, that's impressive. To get the shoe back, that's impressive.
Very.
It was someone threw it and I'm like, I'm not getting that back. And then 15 minutes later, the guy next to me gets hit in the chest with my shoe.
It fell from the heavens.
Pretty much, yeah. And then what's even crazier about it too is like the place where that happened is like one of the venues here in Milwaukee called the Rave. And well, over Halloween weekend, they're doing this whole entire thing where because it's been building for almost 100 years, but it wasn't always a music venue. It was like an Eagles club. So they had like the whole ballroom there, which they still have. It was like a social club kind of thing, but it's supposedly haunted. So to try and make some money during this time, what they're doing is they're letting people walk through the whole entire building in pitch black. All you have is a flashlight. Oh, shit. And when I saw that, I was just like, oh, I get to go. And the crazy thing is like my friend that's going with me, she's all into the paranormal and stuff. So she's really excited to go and check all that out. Me, I'm just excited to go back there and be like, this is where I lost my shoe, and then go downstairs. This is where I got my eye cut open. Go back downstairs. This is where I just was throwing around people because it was fun. And just like relive all those moments once again and be like, I get to be here. Even during COVID.
I miss live music.
Yeah, if I find a microphone on one of the stages, I'm just gonna start like trying to sing, but It'll be horrible, but it'll just sound perfect to me.
It'll be live music. That's all that matters.
Honestly, what I should do is I should just make sure I bring like my little crappy iPod, bring like a mini speaker or something, put it up on stage, and then just start blasting music and just see what happens. Well, one of the 3 stages, I should say, because I could pick one of the. I could pick one. I could pick the ballroom. I could pick the club, or I could pick the basement. One of the 3.
There you go.
And I've got songs for. I was gonna say like I got songs for all 3 stages. I'm just gonna play Ice Nine Kills the whole time because it's gonna be Halloween. What else would I do?
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Maybe I'll throw some Motionless in White in there too.
Maybe.
Maybe. But because I'm taking a look at the time right now, and I think we've really covered a lot of what I'd love to cover, and I absolutely love the fact that we got into a whole conversation about being an independent band, the music industry, about the record contracts, all that kind of stuff, because there's stuff about that I have talked about, but there's certain things that I had never heard of and never really got an idea for, but you guys put them out there perfectly. So I'm definitely more on the train where it's like, whatever we can do to help these independent bands, we have to do.
Absolutely. Like you can't neglect, the independent musician. Every major was an indie at one point.
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully those majors remember that, and hopefully the industry remembers that too. So it's we'll see how it goes, but I think there's going to be I hope there's a huge wave of change, and fuck Spotify. Sorry.
Well, I usually don't use Spotify. I still like download all my stuff because I still use it for certain things, but then again, it also makes sure that I get money to the artist that I'm actually working with and want to listen to. So yeah. Screw Spotify. All right, and before we depart and send you guys on your merry way, even though I always say that because I think it's funny, send you on your merry way. Any last words you want to say? Any closing remarks you want to say? The floor is yours, so go for it.
Go ahead, Steph. You go first.
I don't know what to say now. It's ironic because I always have a lot of stuff to say, and then you put me on the spot, and I have nothing to say. But I did want to point out another little fun fact, because we mentioned bands that aren't originally English speaking, and French is actually my first language. So.
So kind of have that little bit like of that Eastern Canadian thing going on with like the French.
Yes.
I can kind of hear it a little bit too with like a little bit more of like that like. It's like like especially northern next, like, oh, okay there, buddy, that kind of stuff. But can you
gotta go to Tim Hortons, and get some tidbits.
Okay there, what?
I went to college. It was like, well, I mean, there's a bunch of people from Canada that ended up going there as well, so I heard that all the time. Plus, they got a Tim Hortons there when I was like a junior there. I'm like, why is everyone so big into Tim Hortons? And all of a sudden, someone told me it's a Canadian thing. I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Get the large double.
I never walked in there. I never did. I always went to the bar.
Honestly, you're not missing that much.
I ended up just going to the bar next door and ordering a beer. But that is interesting because I can kind of hear that a little bit as well, and I could hear that a little bit in the vocals as well. And again, however you can figure that out to use that to your advantage, by God, do it.
Yes. Next song I write it's gonna be all like French slang and all like
Shack.
Thanks for the heads up, Steph.
I'll be sure not to open that file.
Anybody else? Dylan, Justin, anything you guys want to say in closing?
I don't know. Not too much there, I guess. Just trying to make as much music as possible, I guess, as can.
Yeah, just really connect with the fans, really grow our base, our foundation, from the roots, and be happy with everything we produce, social media wise, music in general, public, announcements and stuff. Really grow. Like our music is really changing. We're really getting our sound now that we're growing since I Am Tree kind of came out, and we're getting great feedback. So we're really finding our sound. We're really growing with that, and we're in a good connection with everybody as a group, and we're really happy to put out more music for everybody here and get some feedback on. So, but yeah, thanks for having myself and the group.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess I can plug everything if that's allowed.
That is absolutely allowed.
All right, so let's start the list. You can find us everywhere online. So Facebook, EchoSeven, Instagram, EchoSeven with the underscore in front. So don't forget the underscore. So it's @ EchoSeven. You can find us on Twitter _@ _EchoSeven. You can find us on SoundCloud at EchoSeven, Bandcamp, EchoSeven. The website is echo7band.com. It's more of our EPK. So it's not really a fan site, but there is music. There's our bio. We have the Instagram link to the site as well. There's a contact page. So you can go there as well, just as more of a static business press kit for us right now. But yeah, music is everywhere. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Tidal, Deezer, wherever you get your poison, you can find our music there. Add us to your playlists. As much as we hate Spotify, it's a necessary evil. So add us to your playlists. Add us to your Apple Music library. You can find us, like I said, on all the platforms. And we're just going to keep at it. And thank you very much. Thanks to the band for showing up, first and foremost. I always appreciate when you guys make the time to do these things. Thank you for this podcast and for giving us the platform and the forum to talk our shit.
Thanks so much.
And yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been an incredible time with all of you. And one last thing for the fans, for my closing remarks, I always like to say this. Everything that was just said, where you can find the band, if you're just thinking like, oh man, do we have to type that in? Can we just like click a link or something? They just go to it. Yeah, take a look at the description of this episode, guys. Whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeart Radio, or the YouTube video, take a look at the description. I'm going to have everything there for you with the links. It's going to be a one-click away kind of thing. There's going to be no excuse not to find these guys. I mean, it's going to all be there. I do this all the time because I want you guys to make sure you follow EchoSeven, listen to EchoSeven, and with all the independent bands that we have on this podcast. Again, every single one has all this stuff there, so it's super easy to follow them, super easy to get to know them, and get in with their music. And as always, keep supporting them independent bands, everybody, because they're going to be the future. Don't you want to be part of the future? Come on now. Well, and then in closing, EchoSeven, it was incredible having all of you on, and we'll have to give Mike a little bit of crap for not coming today. But again, I understand stuff does come up, but just kind of had to say that because I think it's funny. But on this note, I will not say goodbye on this podcast because I do not want this to be the only time we talk. I do not want this to be the only time that we connect, because I'd love to see you guys live when live shows return. And for everyone listening, you will be able to find EchoSeven as a Song of the Day feature at some point in late November on all of our platforms, so that you guys, it's like, oh, wait, do you forget about EchoSeven? Hell no, I'm not letting you forget about EchoSeven. So be sure to always be know with our stuff right now, because when the Song of the Day Song of the Day selection comes out every single day with the 30-second preview, yeah, you're gonna be able to get to know these guys. Late November is the target date right now for that, so it's right after the podcast comes out. So on that note, I'm not gonna say goodbye because I'm gonna end it with see you later.
Absolutely, see you later, man.
See you later.
Thank you.
Well, folks, I was going to agree with the band EchoSeven out of New Brunswick, Canada. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this conversation, especially the part where we talk about the struggles of being an independent band right now when it comes to the time that we're in with the COVID-19 pandemic, and when it comes to the changes that we hope to see within the music industry going forward to help these independent bands out more, to help them make money so that they can really have the chance to be as successful as possible. So when it comes to finding EchoSeven, again, just take a look at the descriptions in the links, in the description of the podcast. You will find everything there. And again, I'm going to end up putting up a sign right below the GFM skateboard deck I have right here that's just going to say support independent music, because I feel like it's a very important thing to have on here during the podcast. And it's just something that I think needs to be on here. So I'm going to put it on the wall once I get that made. But as for that, that's going to be for me today, guys. Thank you for watching and listening to the Chord Progression Podcast, where the MSOTD rocks, where rock and metal thrive. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes with a big, healthy, and hearty see ya!